Okay, so this is the warm-up that we did. So you take a look at these two triangles, and this is an altitude right here. This is a leg 1 and leg 2. So you look at the big triangle. This is hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always across from 90 degrees. So if this is hypotenuse 1 and hypotenuse 2. So you're going to set up proportion. 12 and 12 is their geometric mean. And then 8 is right here. And then 8 over x. So hypotenuse 2 over hypotenuse, the whole thing. And then 12 is what they share in common. So here 8 over 12 and then 12 over the whole thing. And then you cross multiply and you get 144. Multiply these two. That's 8 times 8, 64. 8 times x is 8x. And then this part right here, subtract 64, 80 divided by 8, you get 10. So we're not taking notes here. We're just looking at what we did as a warm-up. Same thing here, altitude here, and leg 1, and then hypotenuse here, hypotenuse 1 and hypotenuse 2. So you can set up this proportion, x and x over 6 over 14 right here. I got 6 because 14 minus 8 is 6. And then x squared is 84. And I do radical simplifying, and this is 84 is 2 and 21. And then if I set up this way, I can have y and y, and then 6 and 8 here. And then at y squared is 48. We can actually simplify number and write as a simplified radical, which is 4 radical 3. Let's do the lesson now. It's 8-2 special right triangles. You have a special right triangle called 45, 45, and 90. We're talking about angles. So 45, 45, 90 is a special triangle because both legs are congruent and the hypotenuse is square root of 2 times the length of the leg. So right here, when you have a triangle like this, if this is 45, this is 45, this is 90, you're going to this is a special triangle because right here we have x and x, which is leg and leg, and hypotenuse is x times square root of 2. So this hypotenuse is always going to be leg, which is x in this case, or it could be any number, square root of 2. Why is that? Because if I have a 5 and 5, right? Let's say I have 5 and 5. Okay, and I have 45 degree angle, 45 degree angle, 90 angle. 5 squared times 5 squared is c squared. That's for right triangle Pythagorean theorem. And then that's 25 plus 25, 50. And then if I do square root of 50 and I do the radical, I get 5 radical 2 because 5 times 10 is 50 and then 2 times 5. So you have 5 times 5, which is a pair, and the leftover is 2. So this is the answer for C, right? If I have same thing, 5 and 5. So you notice that the 5 is here and then radical 2. So this is the case when you have 45, 45, and 90 degree special triangle, when you have that. So if it's isosceles triangle, okay, with 45 and 45. So if whatever this number is, the hypotenuse is going to be this number, radical 2, for any 45, 45, 90 special triangle only, okay? So here, I kind of explained this triangle. You have 5 and 5, right? So 5 radical 2 will be the length of this hypotenuse right here. So that's 5 radical 2, okay? So what if I have 1 and 1? So if I drew just another one here on top, but if I have 1 and 1, okay, if it's 45, 45, 90 special triangle, then it's going to be 1 square plus 1 square c square, right? So the c will be 2, because 1 square is 1, 1 square is 1, that's 2. Then it's square root of 2. So that's 1 times square root of 2, which is the c. So it is 1 square root of 2, because 1 square root of 2 is square root of 2. So anytime you have a 45, 45, 90 angle, you take one leg measurement, right? Whether this is 5, whether it's 1, and you just write that and do the radical 2. That's going to be the length of this hypotenuse for 45, 45, 90 special triangle. So that's what you got to remember. So remember this right here. For 45, 45, 90, hypotenuse equals leg, the length, we'll talk about the length, okay? Radical 2. That is the formula. That is the rule, okay? So let's solve for the missing variable. I want you to look at this one. Right here, you have a 9. So that's going to be 9, right? So this hypotenuse is 9 radical 2. That's the answer. Because the formula is leg, whatever the number is, radical 2. That's the formula. So it only works if you see 45 degree, 45 degree, and 90 mark. You have to have these indicators. Otherwise, you cannot use this formula, okay? Only works for special right triangle. So right here, we're going to do 2 radical 2. That is the leg. So we're going to multiply by radical 2. Because that is the rule. You multiply by radical 2 to get the x, which is hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is across from 90. So 2 radical 2 times radical 2. If you do radical 2 times radical 2, that's 2. So if you do radical times 2, that's just whole number 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. So this length is 4. Okay? Let's do another one. Here, they're giving you 6. So we're going to find x, right? So that means 6 equals x radical 2. We're looking for x. This is the formula, right? We're looking for x, this x, right? According to this formula, we're looking for leg. So we plug it in. Hypotenuse is 6. This is x, and this is the formula. So right here, 6 equals, write 6 equals on your notes, x radical 2. Then I want to divide each side by radical 2. So we're going to do 6 divided by radical 2. If we do 6 divided by radical 2, you cannot have radical on the denominator. So you're going to multiply top and the bottom by radical 2. So if I do radical 2 times radical 2, I get 2. Radical 2 times 6 is 6 radical 2. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. So x is 3 radical 2. So that's the answer. And I can actually explain this radical part furthermore in class, okay? We're going to look at another special triangle, which actually has 30, 60, 90 for this time. This is a different one now. If you have a 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree angle for your triangle, the length of the hypotenuse is twice the length of the short leg. So right here, you see this hypotenuse, right? This is the short leg. Okay, you're going to have a short leg. This is going to be long. This is going to be short. So let's say that's x. The hypotenuse is always going to be twice this short leg for 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. I'm not talking about just any triangle. We're talking about special triangles for this lesson, okay? Now, the length of the longer side is, put the radical sign, please. Radical 3 times the length of the shorter leg. So right here, we're using the shorter leg again. This right here, the length, how long this is going to be always x radical 3. That's the relationship between this 30, 60, 90 degree special triangle. So 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree. Across from 30, that is a short leg. Smallest angle has the shortest side across. That is the rule. We did that last units before. 90 is the longest one, which is hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always the longest side of the triangle. Right triangle, okay? I'm talking about right triangle. And then 60 is the longer leg of these two, okay? So this is shorter because it's across from 30. 60 is bigger than 30. This is the longer side now. So that's how we know which one is the longer side, based on the degrees of each side of the triangle. So that is the formula. Hypotenuse is 2 times the short leg. The longer leg is short leg, radical 3. That is the formula only for 30, 60, 90 triangle, right triangle, not for anything else. So if I have a triangle like this, I have 30, 5 is the shortest one, 60, the next one, 10, this is always, hypotenuse is always across from 90, that will be always the longest one. So my answer for 10 is, if I do 5 times 2, that's 10. This is 10 because 2 times the shorter leg is the hypotenuse, according to the finding, the formula. And then this length is 5 radical 3. So that is the length of this leg. The formula is the longer side is short 5 radical 3. So you just have to write 5 radical 3 for this length. Okay? So that is a special triangle 30, 60, 90. So let's take a look at example. Solve for the missing variable. So here 60 and then 5, 30 is the short. This is the short because it's across from 30. This is the longer side and this is the hypotenuse. So right here, so this one is a little bit complicated. We're going to apply these two rules, okay, to do this. So right here we have to find the short side. So the short side is hypotenuse is 2 times the short, and the long is short radical 3. We're going to apply that. So we got to find the short side and the hypotenuse. So what's given is just 5 and the angles. So if you have a 60, 30, 90 angle, then you can use these two rules, okay? So right here you have 5. So that is the longer side, right? That's not hypotenuse. This is not from 90. So this 5 equals D, which is what we're looking for, radical 3. So I am using this rule right here. Long equals short radical 3 over here. So short is D. The long is 5. This is the long, 5. Equals short D radical 3. So we're going to solve for D using radicals. So right here, you're going to do D times, this is times. So you're going to divide each side by radical 3. 5 divided by radical 3 equals D. That is the answer. But in math, you cannot have radical as a denominator. That's undefined. So what you need to, this is how you get rid of this. Multiply each side by radical 3, radical 3. So radical 3 times radical 3, if you do that on the calculator, you get 3, okay? And then 5 times radical 3 is 5 radical 3. So that's the answer right here. D is 5 radical 3 over 3. Over here, so if we get that answer, if this is that, then you're going to do, now we have the short, you just have to double that. Multiply that by 2. That's how you get the hypotenuse. So right here we're going to do, this hypotenuse is 2 times short. We just find the answer for short, which is 5 radical 3 over 3. That is this part. So you just have to multiply by 2. So we're going to multiply 2 times 5, which is 10, radical 3 over 3. So when you multiply radical by 2 and you have a denominator, you have to do 2 over 1. You cannot just multiply by 2 and that's it. You can actually, you have to put it as a, you can, but you just have to remember to put 3 on the bottom. So 2 times 5 is 10, radical 3 over 3. So that's the answer. So this hypotenuse is 10 radical 3 over 3. Now this radical part, we can review that in class again. So I'm going to actually ask you to pause the video and do the last page and then check with the key. Can you guys pause the video and find the missing side, use the notes, and then check with the key, please? Pause the video and do the last page. So here are the answers. Can you guys check the answers, please, and see if you got these? So I got x equals 7 radical 2. Because this is 45, 45, 90 angle. All you have to do is leg times radical 2. So that's hypotenuse. Number 2, this is 30, 60, 90 special triangle. So these are all only for right triangles, okay? So it's 2s equals 6, so s is 3, right? Because it's double, right? And then number 3, we have right here, hypotenuse is leg radical 2. So we're going to solve for x. We're going to divide each side by radical 2. And you get this right here, 8 divided by radical 2. And then you're going to divide it by 2. And that's 4 radical 2. And then right here, we're going to look at 60 here. So it's 12 equals 2s. S is 6. And then x right here is 6 radical 3. Because 12 divided by 2 is 6. And this part is this leg radical 3. So you're going to use the formulas for 45, 45, 90. There one formula. 2 formulas from 60, 30, 60, 90. So we got to write that down on an index card or something and use them to do each special right triangles. Thank you for watching the video.